Hi there. So I'm just going to follow on from my last talk, and this time we're going to look at name optimization. So if you can remember the last time I talked about how my physical and spiritual talents had three different numbers, three different energies, and they were repeated throughout the chart. The good thing about that is that they're all very strong numbers, but on the downside, it means that I've got very limited experiences in this lifetime. And so to improve kind of the energies and the frequencies coming in and to help my journey, I looked at a name optimization. So what I'm going to do now is just talk a little bit about how those numbers kind of come in and affect the numbers in my birth chart in a positive way. So I'm going to just start with the physical aspects of the name. So what you can see here, I'm just going to annotate this, is you can see that we've got a 13-4 right there on my physical karma. Now, 13-4 is all about the Divine Mother, Sonada energy. So it's the power of the Divine Feminine. And because it sits right next to the 10-1 here, it's going to infuse that number with those positive energies. Now, all of the numbers, you go right to left on here. And when you start to get the name optimization, the energies from those numbers, you receive about 70 to 80% of the numbers in there positive. There's a bit of a karmic aspect to everything that you have to work through. But on the whole, it's mostly positive, the influence. So the 13-4, as well as being all about the Divine Mother and power, it's all about agape. It's a total unconditional love. It's about wisdom. It's about stillness and abundance. It's about the flow of nature. It's about sharing intelligence, success, achievement, and allowing and trusting that new opportunities will come. So ultimately having faith. And as I kind of said, that the feminine polarity there triggers the masculine, allowing it to step more into that masculine energy. So this is an absolutely beautiful number, particularly in a karmic position. Next up, we have got in the physical talents an 8-8. So 8-8 in physical talents is just all about grounding. And whenever you see an 8, it's basically about the grounding energy. You get the qualities of sensitivity, clairvoyance. It's very emotional and nurturing. And the 8s kind of have that ability to relate to everybody and to connect with society, which is so brilliant, particularly on my 5s here in this position, because some of the negatives of 5s can be that you feel quite isolated and very, very overly sensitive sometimes. And because it's such a kind of etheric energy, you often need to retreat to kind of find your space. So having the 8s there to kind of ground that etheric floaty 5 is great. And then the physical talent aspect of it as well, it's extra good because it's really bringing you back to the earth plane so that you're not just up there all the time. I think 5s generally get quite a lot of injuries from being too floaty. So having that there is wonderful. And the benefits as well of having an 8, when you've got it in a talent position, it means that it actually infuses the other numbers as well. So when you look at it there, when you've got the 8, it's just, well, it's a really effective overlay in general, but the energy benefits the 10-1, where it really helps to kind of ground that disempowerment and the disconnection from source. For people with a 10-1, especially in karma, that's a really difficult program that's running. And you can often feel alone or isolated, or you feel that disconnection or abandonment. So to have the 8 to ground that it's really, really, really good. And with the 9s as well, similarly, actually, the 8s are really, really good at grounding that enormous dragon-like energy of the 9s. And when it does that, it really helps to kind of heal. It's the first step anyway towards healing the trauma and disempowerment of that number. So then we've got in our physical goals, I've got a 4-4. So the 4-4 is all about abundance and the flow of nature. So we spoke about that really briefly in the 13-4, but with this energy, it's all about sharing, intelligence, success, achievement. And it's also about allowing and trusting that new opportunities will come and having the faith. On the nines, it's really great because even though it's not as hugely strong in terms of the nines burn through everything. For me, the way that it really helped was to start the process of trusting and surrendering and opening up. And I was kind of acutely aware of that after a few months, that was something I was doing or making myself do more and more, and that it was kind of easing that process. So that's a very, very brief overview of the numbers in my name optimization in the physical chart. So you can kind of see how they play out. So I'm just going to move on to the spiritual one now. And in my spiritual karma here, we've got the 19-1 energy. So 19-1 is all about having the ability to create space within the spiritual energies for another energy to manifest. So this is something that's really highly beneficial in doing healing work or doing work like this, talking about soul contract readings and holding the space for other people. It's also about laughter, which is great because, interestingly enough, I hadn't laughed for quite a long time. I've had a sense of humor, but it was quite difficult to sort of see the joy in things. And I'm not going to give it entirely to having this energy infused in my chart. But over the last year, I've definitely lightened up a bit and seen the funnier side of life, which is nice, and a nice thing to be able to say, actually. The 19-1, again, is about service. It's about unity. It's about stability. It's kind of that powerful transformation, healing. Again, because of the 1 in the number, this is all about Archangel Michael energy. So initially that 1 did press a little bit onto my 10-1, and it can kind of antagonize that somewhat. However, once you kind of bring awareness and consciousness to that, it's quite easy to transmute it. So it's not too much of a problem. It's, with the Archangel Michael power of 1 is all about power with integrity. And it's also about the spiritual opening. It's a very powerful catalyst, and it's frequency that helps to teach and disseminate knowledge and energy, which is great. Again, moving on now into the spiritual talents, we've got another 13-4. Again, that divine mothering, feminine energy, softening, wonderful number. And it really allows for peace and love. So when my name was being optimized, the woman who was doing it, Val, she had no idea that one of my biggest wants for myself for a long time was all about trying to find a sense of inner peace and stillness. And I didn't mention that to her, but having this 13-4 repeated twice in my chart here and here it's really nice. And I think it has actually softened me. Others may say differently, but I feel more content and at peace. So the emphasis of it again is just really, really good. And yeah, beautiful. The 13-4 again on the 9s, it softens because it's in the talent position. It really kind of softens that dragon energy again. And again, it helps with the 10-1 and that disconnection just to provide the love. And for the 13-4, sometimes on the 5-5, people with 5-5s can be quite insecure in the kind of positive aspect of the 5. It's being extremely courageous and pioneering. But the flip side of that in its kind of karmic aspects is that you can be quite insular and you can question things, and there's a kind of faltering sense of self at times. So just infusing those energies with pure feminine love is wonderful. And then finally, in terms of the charts, we've got a 22-4. And in terms of kind of like a storytelling, which is how none of these numbers are linear, they all work, and the frequencies and the energies are always working at the same time. But for me, I always feel quite emotional when there's a 22, when I see the 22-4 just in that placement, because it's all about completion and it's positive. And that's a huge, again, for me, something that's really, really important. I'm really hoping to transmute as much as possible so that that's it, hopefully, in this incarnation, that I can move on. So it's another, not so secret now, desire for me. The 22-4 is all about versatility. It's about connection to all parts of the self, basically from here to source. Oneness, again, service, abundance, the flow of nature, sharing. The 4, again, as we've kind of mentioned with the 13 fours, the 4 comes into play, and that's all about the flow of nature, sharing, intelligence, success, achievement, faith, and trusting, again, that new opportunities will come. Having the dominant vibration there, you can see, is the 4 because of this. And that is something I really have had to learn to do, is to open up and surrender and trust a lot more, to allow more love in, I suppose. So yeah, it's been really, really beneficial to have these numbers. And again, on the 9s, those lovely, lovely fiery 9s, it's all about overcoming the resistance to accepting the flow of spirit, as it connects me to all that I am, again, from here to the source. So absolutely beautiful numbers in that overlay, and you can see how they've kind of affected my chart. One of the things that I didn't have in my original birth chart is a soul destiny, simply because it was just the repeat numbers. So in this one, I've got a 16-7. I'm a 16-7. It's interesting because for the soul, because when you just talk to me as Faye and just use my name Faye, as that's it, I've actually got 16-7 in that name. And again, I've also got 1-1 energy, which is Archangel Michael again. So it's all about unity, stability, powerful transformation, integrity. So I will still get those repeat lessons. But with the 16-7 as a soul destiny, it's all about grounding spiritual energies onto the earth plane. So as you can see with all of these spiritual numbers, it's so important for me to get that grounding, which is why we've got the 8s in there to bring me back down to earth. It's all about authenticity as well. And that's something that actually ties in incredibly well with my 5s, because that's all about the truth and seeing things as they are, and seeing people as they are, and situations as they are. So having that authenticity in the 16-7 actually strengthens that, while being also very decisive, objective. And like the 9s, it's very catalytic. Because of the 7 in the number, this is a wonderful number. It's all about bringing people together. And because I've got so many 5s, I think that really, really helps, with the kind of feeling of wanting to withdraw and become a bit of a hermit. So that having that 7 is really, really, really good, to bring that group type energy in. And it's very magnetic, and it's loving, and it's also about opening the heart, which is great for me for healing that wounded heart while still being incredibly logical. So I kind of mumble through that, but hopefully you get a kind of overview, just of how the chart works. And you can see all of the different energies that have kind of come in and flowed. So thank you very much for listening to that. And if you are interested in name optimization, please do email me. My email address is beyondtheshadowsco@gmail.com, and let me know if you're interested. Thank you very much.